over $1 million that they still owe Shannon Dawson now not to be their offensive coordinator, not to be a coach on their staff. So, yeah, I'm a little surprised that they forked over that kind of money, went that far out on the contract, and then after 1 year, certainly pulled the plug. I saw this Kentucky team live and in person early in the season. I saw them play Florida. I went down there for that game. And it was a microcosm of their whole year. Their offense was bad. I mean, no doubt about it. And obviously the coordinator and the head coach always catch grief. This time the coordinator pulls the plug just to save his own skin, I think. But I tell you what, I don't care who the offensive coordinator is. If you got an offensive line that can't block, wide receivers that can't catch, you got no opportunity. I mean, I don't know how good their quarterback is because he was running for his life every time he dropped back, and when he did get the ball off, his balls were dropped, and the same with their run game. In the game I saw, the Wildcats had less than 250 yards in total offense. Of course, so did Florida, but it wasn't a very offensive game. But again, somebody's got to be the scapegoat. Head coach is going to try to make sure it's not him. In this case, it's Shannon Dawson. And again, I'm not saying he was perfect in Lexington, but, blaming a guy after 1 year with the talent level he had to work with or the lack thereof isn't fair.
I think that's why it's not a hard leap to make that there was something more than just on-field performance there, meaning difference in philosophies. They could not have been on the same page because, I think most reasonable people are going to look at that after 1 year with those issues and know that it takes time, especially from the coordinator side of things. So I think that to me screams there's some philosophical differences there too.
The chemistry, the mesh wasn't there. You don't just fire a guy after one season. I mean, you're Kentucky. They've had some good recruiting classes of late. They've had some terrific recruiting classes, so that's been getting better for them. But at the same point, Kentucky's been Kentucky, and just 1 year as offensive coordinator, that's not enough to go off of if you're going just on yardage numbers and stats and that type of thing. So I think you're right to that point. That was what I was going to say as well. There has to be something else behind the scenes going on there.
So Greg, talk, because it leads into the obvious conversation that we've had a bunch of different times. We've talked about, is there a need for Dana Holgorsen to have another offensive assistant on the staff? And as we've said many times, not somebody to call the plays, because quite frankly, that's why you hired Dana Holgorsen in the first place, was to allow him to be the offensive guy. But it's interesting, I was going through some numbers for the rest of the league, and Greg, I'll have you speak on this part of it. And you have mentioned this before. West Virginia currently only has 3 offensive assistant coaches on staff, 6 defensive assistants. Let me run down some numbers for the rest of the league. Oklahoma State breaks down this way: 5 offensive, 4 defensive assistant coaches. OU, the same, 5 offense, 4 defense. TCU, 5 offense, 4 defense. Kansas State, 4 offense, 4 defense, and Bill Snyder's son is listed just as a special teams coach. Texas Tech, 5 offensive, but their whole entire staff is in flux. They have about 5 openings on that staff. Texas, 5 offense, 4 defense. Baylor, shockingly, because you would think Baylor would be 9 offense and 1 defense, but they're actually 4 offense, 5 defense. Iowa State, 4 offensive guys. Maybe that changes because Matt Campbell, the new coach, is still filling out his staff. That's not completed. And Kansas, 5 offense, 4 defense. So do you think that's something that's on the radar, or is that just that's the way Dana does it, and he's going to have less offensive coaches and it's not a deal?
Well, he never has in the past, and I've never known any staff to work with just 3 offensive coaches. Of course, Dana counts himself, I guess, as an offensive coach, and there are GAs that work on that side of the football, but I've never seen a staff that tries to do it with just 3. And again, whether it's a coordinator or not, somebody to bounce offensive ideas off wouldn't be a bad idea for Dana. But I mean, the thing that we've talked about, ad nauseum, Brad, for a month or 2 now, is that there's not a true dedicated quarterback coach on the staff. Certainly Shannon served that role in the past. Jake Spavital, who's now at Texas A&M and who also has been rumored, at least rumored at this point, to be on his way out of College Station. Both have served as quarterback coaches at West Virginia in the past, and both may be available. But whatever it is, I think that's what you got to look for, above and beyond the coordinator role, and that's what everybody likes to point to. I think an offensive coach to work directly, hands-on with your quarterback 24/7, or whatever you want to work it, is what you got to look for first and foremost. And maybe that is Shannon, or maybe it's Jake.
Yeah, and that was what Shannon's role was the first time around. I mean, yeah, his title was offensive coordinator, but again, like you mentioned, Brad, you bring Holgerson in to call the plays, and that's his role, that's his deal. He was still calling the plays, so you had Dawson in that quarterback coach's role, and then the title that went along with it is offensive
Greg,
coordinator.
what happens? Is it unusual too? Am I right in that Sider, Galloway, and Crook are all on the sideline on the field?
Yes, you are right. They are during game operations. They are on the sideline. They have GAs and Michael Burchett and also the offensive line GA. Both work out of the press box, and they're the ones who call down or talk down to the coaches. But yeah, there is not an assistant, a true full-time assistant offensive coach on the sidelines, which is unusual. In the past, that was Shannon, I believe.
Right.
Shannon typically worked out of the press box and was able to call down. And again, they can change that part of the operation, but boy, I'd just love to see him with a coach, an assistant coach who worked day in and day out with the quarterbacks.
Yeah, certainly something we'll keep an eye on as we move through the offseason here. Some other news around college football that has a link back to West Virginia. Texas A&M is in some clear turmoil right now, guys. It was announced about a week ago that former 5-star recruit quarterback Kyle Allen was recruiting out, and we saw him play in the bowl game last year against West Virginia. Well, now news today, it's official apparently that Kyler Murray, the other 5-star recruit quarterback freshman, is also transferring out. So they've lost 2 former 5-star recruits in the last week, both at the quarterback position, and there's obviously been some news floating around that program that former WVU assistant, current A&M offensive coordinator Jake Spavital may be on his way out, although there's nothing official on that front yet. But, Greg, quite a bit of turmoil down there at A&M as you're trying to prepare for a bowl game, and you've got your 2 quarterbacks both transferring out now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously very unusual. Whatever Jake's situation is, we'll have to wait and see on that. But to have both your top 2 quarterbacks decide to leave within a short period of time and not really any true heir apparent that, is going to supplant them in the starting job, that's really unusual and speaks of some concerns, I think, for a lot of people at Texas A&M. I mean, typically, we know how it works. Backup wants to find playing time. Kyle Allen's decision to transfer wasn't a shocker, wants to play somewhere else. But when their starter wants to leave, I mean, that's really weird.
Yeah, I think you talk about some red flags going up all over. So I think you're gonna see some heat turned up there at Texas A&M in a lot of different ways, if it wasn't already. So something to keep an eye on. All right, time to get a break. And when we come back, we'll dive in to this Marshall WVU Capital Classic. Stay with us. We're back after this.
When you drive impaired in West Virginia, you break the law and endanger the lives of others. Law enforcement across the state is committed to keeping impaired drivers off the road. If you drive impaired, be prepared to pay the price. There are consequences. It's simple, West Virginia. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Is your business or organization struggling when it comes time to tell your story? After all, your story is what makes you unique. Your story is what makes potential clients and customers draw themselves to you. Unfortunately, oftentimes, those stories aren't told and businesses and organizations remain mired in mediocrity. At Pikewood Creative, we produce videos and commercials in a way that make people take notice. If you need some visual help, then visit us at pikewoodcreative.com.
As a cyclist, we make choices. We choose which motorcycle manufacturer to buy from. We choose what type of motorcycle we ride. We even choose where and when to ride. We also choose to ride straight, alcohol and drug-free. Alcohol is involved in 50% of motorcycle fatalities in West Virginia. That's 1 in 2 drivers who die each year. Don't become a statistic. Ride straight, alcohol and drug-free. Presented by the West Virginia Department of Transportation, Governor's Highway Safety and Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Program.
The Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up road patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Welcome back in. Northside Automotive, Statewide Sportsline. Brad Howe, Garrett Cullett along with you, and we're joined live from Charleston by Greg Hunter. The Tamarack in Beckley offers a free concert every Sunday at 2 p.m. From bluegrass to blues, Tamarack has live performances for the whole family to enjoy. This Sunday, enjoy the sounds of Woman Song, as West Virginia's only all-female community choir presents an eclectic winter concert. Real mountain music. You'll find it here in wild, wonderful West Virginia. All right, guys, let's dive back into some basketball here. And guys, it looks pretty simple to me. The easy scouting report, just right off the top, bullet point number 1. Marshall's going to want to shoot some threes. West Virginia's very good at defending the threes. The game very well could be won or lost right there. Agree or disagree?
Agreed.
Are these all testing?
Yeah.
Testing.
I was waiting for Garrett to chime in, but
I
I'll
was
go first.
waiting for Greg.
Yeah, I mean, his
Go ahead, Greg.
historically, this game has certainly turned on threes, and obviously Marshall has shot them historically very well in this game and has kept them in a lot of games, given them leads when no one thought they had opportunities, and made this game much more competitive than any of us ever think annually it would be, and probably will be tonight as well. But if they shoot threes well again tonight, they'll keep this game close. But as you said, Brett, West Virginia's three-point defense has been much, much better last year. I mean, this year than it was last, when it wasn't very good.
Yeah, and some of that has been West Virginia hasn't been as good defending the 2, but defending the 3 they've been great. And in Marshall's losses, that losing streak to start the season, the Herd never scored more than 75 points. In the 3 wins here, the last 3 games, they've scored 82, 96, and 92. So this is a team that's going to want to get up and down and score. No surprise there. It's clearly going to hinge on their ability to do so.
And a big key to that in making those threes has been Austin Loop over the last couple of games. He's putting up 10.9 points per game, but he leads Conference USA with 29 made three-pointers on the year, back-to-back games with over 20 points. So he's a big key for West Virginia to target and slow down because he's going to be chucking up those threes for the Herd.
Yeah, and Greg, that'll be one thing with this press. That's going to add another element to Marshall's ability to get up and down the floor. They may get some easy baskets, but what are they going to do in transition? Will they find that three-point line and try and stop and fire some threes in transition? Is West Virginia able to stop that part of their game?
Yeah, I mean, certainly. I mean, can they just navigate through West Virginia's pressure? I mean, certainly that makes West Virginia go. And then the other part, and when we talk about Marshall's three-point shooting, but how important is that for West Virginia? I mean, we've seen West Virginia, when they struggled against Virginia, their three-point shooting was horrendous. But when West Virginia shoots the three-point just adequately, when you add in the press, when you add in Devin Williams inside, all of a sudden that really makes West Virginia very, very difficult. But if they don't shoot the three-point shoot the three-pointer well, all of a sudden they become, not nearly as good a basketball team, and that'll be a key tonight as well.
Yeah, and a key for me, guys, and you look at the stats for the whole season, Javon Carter gets tabbed as your biggest three-point threat most of the time. He's 14 of 42 on the year, 33%. Daxter Miles, 11 of 39, so that's just 28%. But Jay-Sean Page has been pretty good from beyond the arc, 15 of 35, so that's just under 43% on the year. If you can continue to get that from him, that's a big plus moving forward. You could go along with Javon Carter.
Yeah, Greg, we go back, though. We try and find some years there in the Civic Center. It seems unusual. I'm trying to remember a time when West Virginia went in there, even with some great three-point shooting teams. I'm trying to remember a time when West Virginia went into the Civic Center and really shot well.
Well, not only shot well, but just played halfway decent. I mean, you're right. They haven't shot well. There's been only one time, and I think this series goes back 25 straight years now that it's been played at the Civic Center. I think there's only one of those games that's been won by more than 15 points. So, I mean, and that was like a 16-point win in '99 or something like that. I don't have that stat in front of me, but it typically is close. West Virginia doesn't shoot really well. Marshall does shoot really well, but in the end, West Virginia more often than not also finds a way to get a victory. So, that's typically what you hope for if you're West Virginia. But for the Mountaineers, an opportunity for an easy win, they have been few and far between in this building.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I took after you. I'm learning with what you do. I've done some ciphering. Are you ready? Done some ciphering, Hunter. And I didn't go back. I didn't go back all 25, but I did go back to 16 games. Okay, looked at the last 16 games. West Virginia's 12-4 over that stretch. The average margin of victory, and this is either team. The average margin of victory by either team in those 16 games, 6.81 points a game.
Wow.
So under 7 points a game. Either way, regardless of who wins. There were a couple. In 2012, West Virginia won by 16. 2007, West Virginia won by 14. But you're really struggling to find double-digit victory. So, and again, I know we say this and we throw it out. It's cliche. Throw the records out. Doesn't matter. Blah, blah, blah. But it's going to be close. It's actually true. There's no need to go back further because basically the trends hold. But over the last 16 games, average margin of victory under 7 points, 6.81 to be exact.
That's good ciphering. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you're learning. But yeah, I mean, does that not tell the story though?
Yes.
Of this game each and every year? And again, Marshall's not playing well. They have won 3 straight, but obviously the level of competition hasn't been that high. West Virginia's, though admittedly West Virginia's got a much better record, but they've only played one real high-level team, and that's Virginia. But still, you think of West Virginia, what, they 21-point favorite?
Yes.
But would any of us just be stunned off our chairs if this game is a 21-point final margin of victory? I would be.
Yeah, I think probably so.
I would because of what I just said, but I could also see if it's one of those nights where West Virginia's hitting shots, right, and that defense gets rolling, and Marshall's had its struggles. I guess you could see it getting out of hand. But yeah, given the history, I'll give you another one. You want another number here, Greg? You like numbers?
I love your numbers.
In those 16 games that I just referenced since 2000, only 3 times has the winner scored more than 80. So we talk about scoring and getting up and down the floor. Yes.
Yeah, and we know it's been a foul fest, and each and every year called tight because it's intense. Probably that way this year. Again, Marshall hasn't been real deep, so how does that affect them? Do they have to play this thing a little bit looser because they don't have the depth that West Virginia does, which is now going about 11 deep now that Brandon Watkins is back in the lineup? So, fouls in the ability to push this tempo certainly is something West Virginia's going to want to do, but I'm not sure that's something that Marshall wants to do. They want to score because they've obviously pushed their tempo lately, but I'm not sure in this game that serves them well.
Yeah, and back to your point, Greg, of being surprised if it is a 20-point win for West Virginia, that big of a win, and back to the shooting as well. West Virginia last year, 38% from the floor in that win over Marshall. You go back a couple of years ago, and they actually shot the ball well overall, 50%, 25 of 50, just 4 of 15 from 3. A 2012 meeting, December 2012, 37% from the floor for West Virginia. And like you touched on, Greg, a big part of maybe why it's difficult to get a good flow going has been because of the fouls. 387 fouls between the two teams in the last 8 meetings. That's over 48 fouls per game. 436 free throws, so that's over 54 free throws per game. So it makes it kind of choppy, difficult to get a flow going. Will be another key tonight to see how it's called, if it's called like it has been over the last handful of years.
Yeah, good ciphering by yourself. I got to give you kudos as well, Garrett. Those are pretty good numbers. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the officials do. But Brad, I mean, this also goes to how games are being called this year. Though I'll admit, I don't know that I've seen as much a difference in how games are called this year as I thought I would when the season started.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I don't know if we made that too big of a deal, or if in announcing the changes they made it too big a deal. But I don't know that I notice a lot of difference before. We always complain about the officiating, and we always say, ticky-tack fouls, you're calling too many fouls. I don't know that that's any different than in years past. Garrett?
Yeah, I think, 2 years ago when they first started that, it was a much more severe change that we saw, and then again that faded out by the end of the year. And really when they announced the rules changes, more of the focus was on the shot clock and those type of things moving forward, and instead of the fouls. But until we went to the Big 12 media days, and they got out there and really pushed that a little heavier. And so we thought, okay, let's step back for a second. Maybe it is going to be like 2 years ago. But I'm with both of you guys. I think it's kind of been a happy medium, and it's really not been overbearing. I think it's been fine.
Just making sure Greg didn't want to jump in there. I was going to throw something.
Yeah.
Going to throw something at him.
No, you're good. You're good.
So if you were picking a side tonight, I think I know what your answer is going to be. If you're picking a side, the key to victory for West Virginia tonight is going to be how much the press bothers Marshall rather than scoring. And I know they got to hit shots, but given all those numbers we just gave you, it seems clear that it's going to come down to West Virginia's ability to disrupt Marshall. And if they do so with that press and get some easy buckets, there's your win.
Yeah, I think if the press bothers Marshall a lot, then maybe the West Virginia can get to that 21-point margin of victory. But again, West Virginia's got to do a lot of things. If they hit their shots, if the press bothers them, then Devin Williams has such a size advantage inside. Marshall really only starts one player over 6'5", so West Virginia should have some inside advantage as well. So all those things speak to West Virginia. But again, the X factor for Marshall is can Loop hit some shots from outside? Can the Herd hit some shots from outside? Keep this thing close. They've traditionally done that. So I would expect them to do that again tonight. But again, we got to see.
And Greg, we mentioned it last night. Last year's game with the press, Marshall had 24 turnovers, and the Mountaineers outscored them 33-12 on points off of turnovers. Was still only a 3-point game, 69-66. A large part of that because Marshall shot 50% from the field. WVU just 38 and just 3 of 17 from 3. So it's all factors that we've already talked about.
It's the same formula. Yeah, it's the same formula you see every year. And I know you guys mentioned it a little bit last night. We talked a little bit on Monday, Greg, with Tony. John Elmore coming into the lineup for Marshall. What effect will that have? Giving them another ball handler, a guy they like quite a bit, getting him back and ready to go. What's the factor there? We lose Coach Hunter? Hello, Greg, you with us?
Oh, I'm back.
Okay.
Just a little spotty internet-wise down here. So
I was just mentioning John Elmore coming into the lineup for Marshall. Would be interesting to see what kind of factor that is. They're excited to get him fully ingrained into that offense. Another ball handler for them. What ability does he have to help break the press will be a factor tonight, certainly.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, can he help handle the press? As you said, the more ball handlers you can have against West Virginia's press, we've seen this by other teams, that the better it is. But obviously, he's so new to Marshall's lineup. I mean, he only played 2 games now? Is he up to speed, able to really help when West Virginia gets his pressure cranked up? He hasn't seen anything like this. We're talking to Steve Cotton from Marshall yesterday. Morehead State is the only team that they've played that likes to press. And Marshall had some problems with it then. With Elmore, can he help them? Maybe. But the fact that he hasn't played it is probably going to be difficult for him.
Yeah, and he's another guy, though, that adds to their threat from beyond the arc. You even go back to his time in high school at GW. He had several games where he just went off as well. So he's not only a good ball handler, but can be a scoring threat for the Herd as well.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Coach Hunter, we'll cut you loose. Go get settled in, watch the game, and we'll catch up with you with your report tomorrow evening when you return.
We'll talk to you then.
All right, thanks, Greg. There he is. Greg Hunter signing off in Charleston. Time for us to get a break. When we come back, we'll talk to our Dave Wilson, get a scouting report from the Marshall side of things. Stay with us. We're back after this.
West Virginia has balanced its budget on the back of the coal industry ever since we became a state 150 years ago. Historically, the coal industry and coal-fired electric utilities have accounted for over 60% of all business taxes, while high-energy wages contribute a disproportionate share of income taxes, and coal severance dollars sustain important programs in all counties. All told, the industry infuses over $26 billion to our state's economy. Coal alone has paid down nearly $1 billion of the state's workers' compensation debt. Consequently, all state businesses have experienced major reductions in workers' comp benefits. The coal industry has always supported our people and our economy, but it's under attack from the Obama administration and the EPA. It's fighting to survive. Coal taxes in West Virginia are higher than our surrounding states. We're losing coal markets to our neighbors. Let's get our mines and coal miners working again. Support a reduced tax rate for mining, paid for by West Virginia Coal Association.
All Medicare eligible individuals. It's time for open enrollment. Take advantage of the health plan's Medicare plans with benefits such as Silver Sneakers gym membership, an extensive list of doctors and hospitals. Contact us 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week at 1-877-847-7915 or visit healthplan.org/Medicare. This information is not a complete description of benefits. Contact the plan for more information. Limitations, copayments, and restrictions may apply. Benefits and/or copayments, coinsurance may change on January 1 of each year.
The Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes, on Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
This fall, not all blockbusters are movies. The Jeep Black Friday Blockbuster Sales Event. It's the must-see event of the year. Well-qualified current lessees with competitive vehicles get a low-mileage lease on the 2015 Grand Cherokee Laredo for $279 a month.
There. Just 5 more minutes. Almost.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads. That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
I see your dirty face, hide behind your collar. What is done in vain? Truth is hard to
Welcome back inside Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline Thursday edition. Brad Howe, Garrett Cullen, along with you. Dave Wilson standing by. We're going to do a little more Marshall WVU talk, but first, our friends at Northside Automotive in Summersville want to send out a big thank you to everyone who donated a toy to their recent toy drive. They delivered 2 trucks of toys to WVU Children's Hospital today, Garrett. It was pretty cool. I went over for a while, and it was a great scene. The playroom was jammed with all of the toys, and Santa and Mrs. Claus were there, and they were handing them out to the kids as they came in. So it was a really neat event today, and a big thank you comes from Northside Automotive, again, to everyone who made that possible and donated a toy over the last couple of weeks. So thank you from Northside Automotive, Route 19 in Summersville. Let's get back to the hoop talk. Let's go to the phones. We're joined by Dave Wilson, host of the Stampede at WVMetroNews.com. Dave, welcome to the program.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
We're well, thank you. Let's start here. So it seems like the key is going to be, as we always talk about with West Virginia's team, their defense, their press, their ability to slow down Marshall's want to get up and down and specifically shoot some threes. You see that as maybe one of the primary keys?
I would say that is definitely a key to the game. Anybody who's watched a D'Antoni offense knows the offense wants to get up and down the floor and take the first open shot they get. Everybody's really got the green light. That's great, guys, when you're shooting hot, like Austin Luke did the other night. When he hits 8 or 9, 10 threes in a ball game, you're going to win big. When you're shooting cold or you're off the mark a little bit, there's nobody underneath the basket to rebound, and that's where Marshall can get itself into trouble.
So this is almost the basketball version of tempo that we talk about in the football side. Go, 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 hurry up. This is the basketball version of that.
Yeah, they want to go, 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 and hurry up. And you've seen this team, if you've watched them this year, play really well in spurts. And I don't know if it's a young thing or if they get tired toward the end of a run. You'll see them make an unforced turnover, and suddenly that snowball starts rolling downhill, and they can never get caught back up. They lost the lead against Tennessee. They play well in spurts, but putting a full game together, it's something this team's still working on.
And improved shooting over those last 3 games. Is it Austin Loop that's been the difference specifically from beyond the arc?
Yeah, Coach D'Antoni said earlier this year, we need Austin to shoot the ball like he's capable of. It's funny. It's kind of like a baseball player. You watch them in batting practice, guys, and they'll hit balls out of the ballpark. You stick them out there in a game, and suddenly, they can't hit the broadside of a barn. Marshall's gone through that this year, where they'll go through practice, run the offense as it's meant to be run, hit every shot, get in the game, and they clank them off the rim. It's a confidence thing. Earlier in the year, Austin wasn't shooting with a lot of confidence. He was passing up shots. He was taking bad shots. So they need him to shoot well, but I think really the key that makes the offense drive is Ryan Taylor. He scored 25 the other night, all inside, didn't take an outside shot. So when defenses have to worry about Ryan under the basket, that frees guys up like an Austin Loop, like a C.J. Burks, or even James Kelly, who can also shoot outside.
Dave Wilson, previewing Marshall, is our guest. Talk to us a little bit about what has happened over the last 3 games. So Marshall starts on a 6-game losing streak, has turned it around and won 3 straight. Outside of the obvious answer of shots are falling, they're scoring more, and maybe that's the answer. What has changed over these last 3 games?
Well, the schedule changed a little bit. Some of these teams that they play are pretty good basketball teams. I mean, that's one thing. But also, you got to look at the roster and look closely. And then D'Antoni pointed this out to me before the James Madison game. He goes, look at my starting 5. He goes, they're 18, 19. This one just turned 19. This one just got to the United States 3 months ago. It's a very, very young team. Even though this is D'Antoni's second year, to me it's really his first year if you look at the roster and look at the guys that have to develop. He's trying to develop a program, not necessarily bring in JUCO guys and build a team for 1 year. So this is going to be a 2-3 year process. Marshall's not recruiting freshmen like Kentucky is, Brad, and even Kentucky struggles with freshmen early in the season. So it's a very young team. It's inexperienced, and they've got to learn to play college ball, and they've got to learn to play it the way D'Antoni wants.
Dave, having said that, though, what are expectations for a guy like John Elmore, who just became eligible earlier this week against NC Central, a guy that can handle the ball and proved in his high school days at GW he's a shooter as well. What are expectations for him and his role moving forward?
Well, I think you hit the nail there with your first assessment. He can handle the ball, and D'Antoni has been talking through that 6-game losing streak and early in the year. We need to get Elmore on the floor. We need to get Elmore on the floor. What he does is solidifies the lineup a little bit as the number 1. He's the guy that's going to run the floor, and then the guys can fall into place after that. Stevie Browning at 2, then you got Austin Loop, Ryan Taylor, and James Kelly. Then you got Burks coming off the bench. Without Elmore on the floor, it was kind of a crapshoot. Who was going to be running the point? Who was going to be controlling the ball? So then you've had guys playing a little bit out of position. D'Antoni really thinks, with Elmore there being the kind of court general, the rest of the lineup falls into place. The rest of the rotation falls into a place where it was a little bit in flux early in the year.
We've mentioned the 3 guards. Talk to us about the front court. You said Ryan Taylor a second ago. He obviously had a great game against North Carolina Central with the career-high 27. James Kelly leading the team in rebounding. Tell us a little bit about their game. What do we see out of them tonight?
They have a little bit of a similar game. James likes to shoot the 3, although I wouldn't recommend it. He really needs to get inside, and D'Antoni has talked a lot about that as well, because Marshall really doesn't have a big man. I mean, Ryan and Kelly at about 6'7", they're the big men, so they've got to get inside. They've got to scrap a little bit, and those 2 guys are really the most experienced. Even though James is a senior, he sat out all of last year after transferring from Miami. So again, you get back to that inexperienced roster that Marshall's dealing with. But really, Marshall needs those two guys to, one, stay out of foul trouble. That can be an issue at times. But two, draw the defense away from those outside shooters so a guy like Luke can get an open look, or Burks, or even an Elmore.
Dave, bigger picture away from this game specifically, and you touched on D'Antoni trying to build a program that's going to take 2 or 3 years. So what do you think the expectations are there? He's 14-27 now into his second year. How much patience will there be to get things rolling? Does he have a couple more years, or is it get into next year and see where you're at? Where do you think that lies?
I think you have to be patient. One, the cupboard was pretty bare when he arrived. He had to get rid of some malcontents on the team. I mean, to be quite blunt about it, he had to get rid of some malcontents on the team, and one, get a roster of guys who are willing to work and do what he needed of them. So you went through kind of the purge. Now he's starting to bring in his guys. So you have to give it a couple of years because, as I said before, these freshmen and sophomores who are playing aren't the guys who are going to be one and done. They need 2-3 years to adapt and develop into ball players. So the expectation, while Herd fans are probably starting to grow a little restless, it's been a while since they've had a really good basketball team. Progress, get better, and continue to see that progression to where you can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. You can't keep getting blown out once you get into conference play. You've got to win some of the close games you could have won last year. So it's a process and it's a progress, and the Herd fans are just going to have to be patient to see how this plays out.
On the defensive end for this Marshall team, and I know if you go traditional D'Antoni system, brothers D'Antoni system, defense isn't necessarily a priority, and it doesn't seem to be right now. 83 points a game given up, 331st in the country. Is that right? Is it a product of the system, and that's just kind of what Marshall's going to be, is they're not going to guard you extremely tight?
It's a little bit of a product of the system, Brad. It's also a little bit of a product I mentioned earlier. They don't have a big man.
Mm-hmm.
Go and look how badly they're getting out rebounded. Even on the offensive glass, teams are getting second, third, sometimes fourth chance opportunities under the basket. Marshall's in on the floor. A lot of times, again, they're getting one shot. There's either nobody there or they're getting outmanned under the basket. That plays a lot into it. The defense isn't that bad in half-court sets, but again, you're getting out-rebounded under the basket on both ends of the floor. It adds up quickly.
Dave, another guy we haven't talked about a whole lot, but he's been getting some significant minutes, averaging 10.8 points per game, redshirt freshman, so another young player, and C.J. Burks, another in-state guy. What's his role been with this Herd team?
He started a couple of games, and now with John Elmore eligible, he'll probably be that sixth or seventh guy off the bench. But he's really impressed me. He's won Conference USA Freshman of the Week twice, and he's a kid, guys, that he couldn't even practice with the team a year ago. He had to get his grades fixed and get himself eligible, so he wasn't even really around the program. So he didn't start until this summer and this fall. And to see the maturation of C.J. Burks just over the first few games is really kind of remarkable to me. He can shoot the ball outside. He can get up and down the floor, and he's the type of player that Dan D'Antoni is looking for in a guy.
We're joined by Dave Wilson talking Marshall WVU. All right, we're going to ask you the question. We spent some time on it all week. We asked it again this evening. I know your answer, but should this game continue?
I don't care.
All right, let me rephrase the question. Hold on. Retraction. I withdraw the question, Judge. Let me rephrase the question. From a Marshall perspective, not a personal perspective, from a Marshall perspective, should the series continue?
From a Marshall perspective, I don't care, honestly. Should it continue? Yeah, it should continue. There's no real good reason why it shouldn't. You're two teams within 3 hours of each other. If it goes away tomorrow, is anybody going to lose any sleep over it? No, not really.
Well, I think some people will. I mean, not say anybody. Some people are going to lose sleep. Do you like it in Charleston, or would you like to see it on campuses?
I think it would be fun. I think that would be a fun game to have on the campuses. Do a home and home, play twice a year. I think it would be fun.
Oh, stop with your twice a year. Stop that.
I said it would be fun. You don't think that would be fun?
No.
You wanted the Marshall perspective. No. He's giving you the Marshall perspective.
Well, I know. Then he asked me. No, I don't think that'd be fun. I like it once a year, and I like it in Charleston.
And that's the thing. Marshall thinks it would be fun, and folks from West Virginia say, whatever, we wouldn't care about that. And that's the interesting back and forth.
I think it would be fun, but guys, if it went away tomorrow, could not care less.
Dave Wilson not diving into the debate whatsoever.
Hey,
Well,
Dave.
there's no different. Why? What debate is there? It makes sense to play the game. You're that close. You got to play a non-conference game. Why not go ahead and play? What makes the difference? Why is there even a debate?
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to go football. Moving on a little bit. Hey, give us a preview, Dave, on I'm completely changing subjects. Give us a preview on Marshall's bowl game against UConn.
You're not going to give him anything back? All right, go ahead. Talk football.
Nah, I don't care either. Go ahead.
Well, you guys are great for a talk radio show. Thanks for joining us, both of you. All right, go ahead, football, Dave Wilson. Go ahead.
What's the question, Gary? St. Petersburg Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Well, Marshall backing into it a little bit. Lost 3 of the last 4 games, played some tough teams, but they got an opportunity to do something they've never done in the program, and that's win 10 games 3 years in a row. They also have an opportunity to win 4 bowl games in 5 years. That's something that no other group of 5 school has done over the course of the last 5 or 6 years. So they got a chance, I think, to really take some momentum into the offseason with young guys such as Chase Litton, some of the running backs they'll have back, Keon Davis, and Tony Pittman. Guys, there's a lot of young, very talented players, especially in the offensive side of the ball, that will be back next year. So the extra practice time the last couple of weeks leading into the game, that's going to be big for those guys. Also, just taking that momentum into the offseason will be big. UConn is kind of in a position that Marshall was, if you go back to 2011 when they went to the bowl in St. Petersburg, Defoe Brady's Bowl. They're hungry for a bowl game. They beat Houston, who ended up winning the AAC, the old Big East. So that's a team that their stock is sort of on the rise. A young team that's hungry for a bowl win, hasn't experienced that kind of success. So I think it's a good matchup. It's certainly a matchup I think Marshall can win. I think the secondary is better. I think Marshall's pass rush, defense overall is better. And I like their offense. It'll be kind of one of those 21-17 type games, and maybe 24-17 type games, but certainly a winnable game for the Herd. And, anytime they can go to Florida, the 24 or so guys on the roster love it. So they'll have a good time, and Doc Holliday will have them ready to play.
All right, we'll leave it there, and I would say go enjoy the game and watch it, but since you don't care about the game, I don't even know if you will be watching it. So if you happen to flip through, if you're flipping around the channels and you happen to land on ESPNU, enjoy the game.
Now, is that ESPNU? That's where that's going to be aired.
It's ESPNU this evening with no announcers on site. They're doing one of those games where the announcers are in Bristol. Yeah. So, Dave, if you don't catch that game, we'll catch you up about tomorrow when you come in.
DVR it, watch it over the weekend. It's okay.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, thanks, Dave. There he is. Dave Wilson joining in. Doesn't care about the Marshall WV game. Doesn't care if it goes away. Stay with us. When we come back, if we get time, we'll probably have some time. If you want to call in, weigh in, and counteract Dave Wilson there not caring. Do you care about the Marshall game? You want to continue? You want to play in Charleston? 1-800-765-8255. We'll have time for a call or two when we return.
Someday, we'll go to the edge of the galaxy. But for now, you can go to the ends of the earth in a Jeep brand SUV. Find your adventure in the Jeep Grand Cherokee, the most awarded SUV ever. Catch a show of shooting stars underneath the night sky in the Jeep Cherokee, the 2015 four-wheeler of the year. And go far, far away in the Jeep Renegade with up to 31 mpg highway. Hurry into the Jeep year-end blockbuster sales event. Going on now.
Star Wars The Force Awakens, December 18th, rated PG-13. Well-qualified lessees of competitive vehicles get a low-mileage lease on the 2015 Grand Cherokee Laredo 4x4 for $279 a month for 36 months with $24.99 due at signing. Tax, title, and license extra. EPA estimate, 1.4-liter engine with manual transmission. Call 1-888-925-JEEP for details. Requires dealer contribution and lease through Ally. 20-cent charge for each mile over 30,000. Residency restrictions apply. Take delivery by 1-4-16. Jeep is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
The Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes. On Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
This fall, not all blockbusters are movies. The Jeep Black Friday Blockbuster Sales Event. It's the must-see event of the year. Well-qualified current lessees of competitive vehicles get a low mileage lease on the 2015 Grand Cherokee Laredo for $279 a month.
There. Just 5 more minutes. Almost.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads. That's why drivers are stepping up road patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Final segment of the show, Brad Howe, Garrett Cullen along with you, Northside Automotive Sportsline. A reminder, the Tamarack in Beckley offers a free concert every Sunday at 2 p.m. From bluegrass to blues, Tamarack has live performances for the whole family to enjoy. This Sunday, enjoy the sounds of Woman Song, as West Virginia's only all-female community choir presents an eclectic winter concert. Real mountain music. You'll find it here in wild, wonderful West Virginia. All right, Garrett, real quick, game, yes, no, should be played on campus or in Charleston?
I think it's fine the way it is right now. In Charleston, you always get a really good crowd. Tonight's crowd's expected to be big, a nice mix of Mountaineer fans and Marshall fans. That, I think, is a fun environment. Now, the games haven't always been fun to watch with all the fouls of late, but you make money off the game. I say why not keep doing it from Charleston? Now, if you want to go to the home and home, like Dave mentioned, I don't think that's a route to go. I don't think West Virginia really benefits from that. So I would be out on that.
You don't play two non-conference games. Well, I mean, I know Marshall did. They played James Madison twice in non-conference. Don't play two non-conference against the same opponent.
Yeah, so if in Charleston, the current setting, I'm fine with it. But other than that, I don't see a need to do that.
You know, I'm for it, and I realize before everybody starts tweeting me and yelling at me when they actually see me, because this game gave me heart attacks multiple when I was working inside the athletic department. And I have totally flip-flopped. So if you want to call me
Completely
a flip-flopper, flip-flopper, fine. Take it. There is something fun about that game, in my opinion. For a non-conference game, I like it in December. For a non-conference game at this point, with two fan bases in the arena, and it's rarely 50-50, but there's a good contingent of both. And when baskets either way happen, you get some cheering. I like that, and I'm okay with it. And again, you make some extra money because the sponsorships are sold as a separate agreement. So I'm
for that
it.
part of the state where there is a good mix of Marshall and West Virginia fans. Now, if you tried to do it up here, if Marshall came up to Morgantown, honestly, I don't know that it would be a huge crowd. It would be just another game. Personal opinion.
Yeah, I think that adds a little bit to it, that it's at a neutral site. And again, as we were saying in the break, I think it helps. If Marshall's RPI is going to be down, it helps then to get a win over them on a neutral floor. You'll get more benefit than if you do that at home. So I'm in. Count me in for it. I know everybody's going to blast me. I flip-flopped. That'll do it for tonight. If you missed any part of the show, remember, you can catch the podcast on iTunes or visit our website, wvmetronews.com, and download tonight's show. Thanks to Dave Wilson for joining us this evening. Special thanks to Joe Nelson on the video, J.R. Falls on the phone. We'll talk to you tomorrow night, 6:06. For Greg and Garrett, I'm Brad. Thanks for listening. We're out.
The Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline has been an exclusive presentation of the Metro News Radio Network. Copyright 2015. All rights reserved.